literary genius doesn't always entail having common sense or basic decision-making skills. And these 5 classic authors proved that you can be a genius and an idiot at the same time, and I absolutely love it. You are probably internally screaming, Aimee, who even are you? You are the idiot. And to that I say, you are probably right. But these authors did the most outrageous things I have ever seen. So let's take a deep dive into the weird side of classical literature. Jean-Jacques Rousseau, one of the greatest thinkers of all time, father of modern education, champion of freedom, known for his role in the French Revolution, but also for the impact he had on parenting practices through his work Émile or Émile. I'm not sure.
Children are by nature pure and ought to be treated with the utmost care and respect. Ah? But where is my mind today? Mademoiselle Etienne, pray tell, have those little imps been sent to the orphanage? Or should I put you over my knee again?
After abandoning all 5 of his children, Jean-Jacques Rousseau had enough time to write about the perfect parenting practices, which I am eternally glad for. How else would we know how to do it now? Maybe you're wondering, why did Mr. Rousseau indicate spanking his servant? That is because he enjoys this sort of things. Fact known from the earliest documented case of oversharing in philosophy, namely Confessions. There he explained in detail how much he enjoyed the punishments he received as a child and how those punishments shaped his adult desires. Rousseau wrote that as a child he enjoyed getting spanked by his caregiver, Madame de Warrens, who later on became his lover. He thought of himself as being an extremely charming and likable man, though many would not agree with that statement. Like Voltaire, for example, who famously wrote, "One longs in reading your book to walk on all fours." Also, Diderot thought that Rousseau had a heart of sugar and a head of vinegar. Or so it's thought. Later on, paranoia got to him, and he wholeheartedly believed that a secret global conspiracy was out to ruin him. He accused former friends and entire government of conspiring against him. The famous Fyodor Dostoevsky. Imagine being sentenced to death, and in the very last second, you find out that everything was basically a prank. And that is exactly what happened to Fyodor Dostoevsky. And you'd think that something like that would be a wake-up call and would make Fyodor Dostoevsky live his life in a better way. But no, he was straight back to gambling all his money away, while also promising his publisher that he's going to write books in extremely ridiculous deadlines so he can avoid financial ruin. His poor stenographer and later on wife, Anna, had to put up with that.
All is lost. I shall write a novel about this. Wait, I already owe my publisher a novel. No matter. Anna, take this down. We shall call it The Gamble. Sir, might you lend me 5 rubles? My luck is going to turn.
And so it did. His luck turned to shit. He got scammed into signing his book rights for close to nothing and ultimately decided that the casino was a great retirement plan. Charles Dickens is one of Britain's most famous authors, and chances are you've heard of at least a couple of his books, like A Christmas Carol or Oliver Twist. Through his stories, he highlighted the importance of family values and managed to expose the harsh reality of child abuse and poverty. Though I'm not sure what his kids thought about that.
The suffering child, forced to work long hours in cruel conditions. Now, Harry boy, be a good lad and fetch me my slippers before you start your shift at the factory.
Okay, I did exaggerate a little tiny bit with that because a lot of parents used to put their kids to work because they had to sustain themselves. But I am wondering, how was Charles Dickens' relationship with his wife? After all, he had 10 kids with her. Well, he publicly shamed her and tried to lock her up in an insane asylum so he can be with his teenage mistress. He was not only a writer, he also dabbled with more esoteric areas like hypnotism. He refused to being hypnotized himself because he thought that being in control is very important, though he had no issue with doing it to his wife. After all, he had already planned for her to go to an insane asylum, so there's no harm done. He continued practicing hypnotism and ended up with a new lover. Yes, he used his powers to get a girl to have an affair with him. He also believed in ghosts and was allegedly part of London's famous ghost club, which is to this day investigating ghosts and hauntings. A 27-year-old Edgar Allan Poe took a look at his 13-year-old cousin and thought, this is the one. Since he wrote such macabre and horror stories, maybe he thought that he needed a ray of sunshine in his life, and decided that the 13-year-old would definitely bring that joy in his home.
My dear Virginia, my love, my muse, my second cousin. No, that doesn't sound right.
Later on, he wanted to become a soldier, so he attended United States Military Academy at West Point in 1831. There, he used to skip formation and attended morning drills in nothing but his belt. His action led to court-martial, where he was found guilty and had to dismiss the academy. I guess drinking and gambling was more up his alley, because he ended up accumulating more and more debt and eventually got disowned by his foster father. Then there's his death, which was in a true Poe-style mystery fashion. He was found delirious in the street wearing someone else's clothes while he kept ranting about some guy called Reynolds. Oscar Wilde is known for being a genius with his words. In books, because in real life his words didn't do him justice. Literally, because he got himself sentenced to 2 years of hard labor. Let me create an accurate visual image of what actually happened.
He has accused me of being a homosexual. A most serious accusation indeed. Lord Queensberry, how do you plead? Not guilty, Your Honor, because he is gay. Yes, but I didn't appreciate how he said it. Mr. Wilde, you do realize how trials work, correct?
Oscar Wilde fell in love with Lord Alfred Douglas, named Bosie, and Bosie's dad hated Oscar Wilde's guts. So one day he got so drunk that he decided he wanted to insult Oscar in writing. So he wrote that Oscar is posing as a sodomite. What's a sodomite, you're wondering? Nothing, because Bosie's dad, the Marquis of Queensberry, misspelled the word sodomite, which means basically being a homosexual. Now, unfortunately, Oscar Wilde didn't have a good laugh at that as we did. In the end, he died in a cheap hotel after saying his final words. Either that wallpaper goes, or I do. Honestly, it was very hard for me to choose only 5 classic authors who did outrageously stupid things in their lives, because there are many more, like Ernest Hemingway, who blew himself up twice, or Victor Hugo, whose death was mourned by a lot of prostitutes. Now, if you want a part 2, I will gladly provide. The greatest writers of our world were great and had astonishing achievements, but they were still human. Humans who did way worse and more stupid things than most of you watching this. So I'll end this video by saying that if Oscar Wilde could sue someone for calling him gay and ended up being sentenced because he was gay, then you shouldn't really worry about shitting yourself in class when you are in uni. You're alright. Okay, thanks for watching the video. Hopefully you enjoyed it, because I sure did enjoy reading about all the stupid things these writers did. Have a wonderful day.